Hello fellow campers, Captain Oak here, giving you a update on my 2017 Heartland Wilderness 2475 BH. I've had this unit now for about 9 months, bought it back in February. I've put about 7,000 miles on her thus far and have been very pleased with the overall performance of this camper. I've only had a couple of minor issues for warranty, and they were all related to the electronics and entertainment devices in the camper, but as far as the systems and the structure has been absolutely no problems whatsoever. As we get ready to go inside, we'll go over some of the upgrades that I have done. It's always interesting to see what others have done to their coaches and campers, and just want to give you some of mine here, and we'll get started. As we move inside here, the first thing I'll point out was the installation of a additional drawer space and storage space underneath the kitchen counter. I will say there is a lot of unutilized and wasted space under this counter, and by some careful measuring and kind of just thinking about what I wanted to do, I was able to put in this drawer and to create space for some larger items that you might be able to see back in there. I've got a crock pot and a coffee pot and some other things, but there is a lot of space back in there, and here's some other options you could do. I opted to do this. You could certainly sort of set of drawers or any number of other ideas. This was an easy project to do once I've got the logistics figured out, and the reason I say that is because this door was able to be purchased from the factory. They're very good about letting you order stuff, and they were very quick on that. Heartland was, and I bought 2 doors for this, one for this project and one for other project I'm going to do later on. And I want to say that each door roughly was about $30 delivered. The hardware, I was able to find matching hardware and hinges at a local cabinet supply shop here in town. The drawer and the glides I repurposed from an existing cabinet that was removed out of my bathroom on an upgrade. So really a very straightforward and easy project to do. Also, while I was in here doing that, I decided to go ahead and install, or I should say upgrade, the receptacle here to one of the receptacles that have the ever so ubiquitous USB ports that you need to recharge just about everything in this day and age, it seems. And that was a very simple and relatively inexpensive upgrade. These receptacles are about $25 to $30 at the big box stores. It was an easy project to do. As well as I installed the 12-volt powered version of the USB port, because this way, if you're off-grid or dry camping, if you will, I'm able to still to charge up phones, cameras, things of that nature. So again, easy project to do there. The other thing you see here is just a couple of hooks that I had installed to hold up the I reuse the grocery bags as small garbage bags. I try to repurpose or reuse everything if I can. And as we back up here and get moving around to some things you'll notice in general, I have mounted my flashlight there, installed a key hook holder I had built to hold some keys and a small flashlight, paper towel holder. One of the items that I really enjoyed being able to do here was move around here a little bit, was the silverware rack. This is a repurposed basket out of a dishwasher. A friend of mine was getting rid of her dishwasher. We were discussing about how to store utensils, and you can put them in the drawer, etc. But she had this idea, and actually has worked out really well. Very simple to do. I took 2, in this case I used bronze. You could use stainless. You'd want to use something that was not going to rust or tarnish too much. I used a couple of bronze screws that I had and drilled them into the countertop and cut off the heads to create essentially 2 pins, if you will. And they are the same diameter as you see those little small squares in the basket, and that basket sits on top of those 2 pins, or slides over those 2 pins I should say. And I've had that down there for several months now, and has worked out really great. It doesn't tip over, although the pins are pretty long, so but you can lift the basket up off the pins. But what a huge difference it is to be able to have easy access to all your utensils. That you can see my collection there. And as we continue to move on around, Another item that I had done is I enjoy collecting the magnets of the various places I go visit. And in this particular case, in this camper, there wasn't many places to be able to stick them. You could put them on the front of the oven, I suppose. The front of the refrigerator, the insert in this model is plastic, and I probably could have opted to get the metal inserts on the refrigerator, but this was a lot less money doing this. This is a sheet of 430 stainless, which has some ferrous property, so magnets will stick to it. I've got this off of eBay, off of a metal place, and they sell it wasn't terribly expensive. The sheet was a little bit bigger than what you see there. I cut the sheet down to fit, and I want to say 20 bucks tops for that sheet delivered, and it was a very simple install. Up above, talking about additional storage space, let me see, we'll get up here and open these doors up a little bit more. There we go. Here above the kitchen sink is a very large open cabinet. A lot of storage in this thing. But in my case, I had a lot of smaller items I wanted to be able to store, and not really big items, and you could do anything you want. Here is just to give you one idea. I installed a small, I call it a half shelf up there, and it's at an angle for a reason. That is to make it easier to store things up there and have access to them. There's a large leading edge up there, about 1.5 inches tall, so nothing ever bounces off of there. It won't slide off of there, and just provides additional storage for various items, so that's worked out really well. Same thing down below the kitchen sink here. This is the cabinet that's here, of course, as part of the cabinet works. The only thing I have done here as well is I installed a shelf there, and to create just some additional space for what you see I have here. Again, a very easy project to do, and just to more efficiently utilize the space that's provided. As we move on around, a couple of things you'll notice here, and that is the space under the range. While originally I thought, oh, I could do something there, but in fact that is where the water pump is at, and they didn't bother to tell me that, but the water pump is there along with the hose if you're going to winterize your unit. So, and there's some other systems items in there, so there really isn't much space to deal with. The only thing that I did as an upgrade was added an accumulator to the water pump, so that the water pump wouldn't be cycling quite so much for my ice maker that I will show in a different video that I had installed in the outdoor kitchen. Underneath the refrigerator is the furnace, so that's what's behind that grate there. As we move on around over here to the bunks, and I use my bunks for storage, there is my other project. There is a lot of space under this bunk that is not utilized at all, and my goal is to install a door there again as well to open that space up for items for storage as well. As we move on around here towards the bathroom, one of the things that I did do here was to change out the door hardware. With my hand being the way it is, and it's got partial paralysis, round doorknobs just really aren't something that are easy for me to deal with. And so on a search to find levered style door handles that would fit these thinner RV / mobile home style doors was kind of a challenge. Ultimately, I ended up coming across these Quick-Set. This is the Milan series of door hardware. They come fully packaged with all the necessary pieces, whether you're going to use them on a standard thickness residential door that you may have in a home, or these thinner doors that are typically in most travel trailers on RVs, including the necessary hardware for the door bolt as well. So it was really more or less a drop-in replacement. The only thing that you have to do if you go with the Quick-Set series is the hole in the door that the bolt slides into. You'll need to take a wood rasp and just ever so gently make it a little bit larger in diameter. That is a press fit unit that goes in there, and you don't want to make the hole too big, but very straightforward to do. A couple of other items that I had done in here, towel rack, probably not one of my better ideas. It was originally, it was a great idea, but I have it set up right now, bump my head into it, it's right there at eye level, sticks out, and while there is no real storage here in this bathroom, I thought, oh, put up a towel rack. There's lots of different solutions out there. Pick one that you like. I didn't really like this one. I will tell you, there isn't much fastening in this wall. That is one of the reasons why this rack is right here by the door. There is no real stable fastening points behind this wall, except right here at the frame of the door. There's a large framing member behind the wall here that is part of the framing of the door, so that was the only really strong point that this towel rack could be mounted to. As we move on around, I did add the arched or curved shower bar. What a huge difference. You don't think 3 or 4 inches makes a difference. It does in terms of space inside the shower. Again, that was just a residential unit. There's all sorts of options out there. Same thing with the shower curtain. I got a regular shower curtain. I cut it down to actually properly fit in the tub. The one that came from the factory was huge. It just splayed all over the thing down there. It was just ridiculous. So this I took and had it hemmed. Probably could have been a little bit shorter, but works really well. A couple of other things here. Some command hooks. They seem to adhere very well to this ABS tub surround, shower surround with no issues. I've had that up for a while. A piece of polished stainless that I wanted to use as a mirror. Great idea. Fogs up really quickly. I'll have to look at finding maybe some anti-fog on there or something. The couple things I did do in the tub which were really easy to do. I will tell you, the caulking that the factory did where the tub and the surround meet was absolutely terrible. So I went ahead, and fortunately it was a great match. I forget which brand, but it was the bisque or almond colored caulking, and recaulked that entire sea around the surround. And just one thing, it looks a lot better, and also keeps the water obviously from getting back in there, so much easier to clean. The other item which I had done, which was a huge, probably again in my top 2 or 3 upgrades, was this lighting inside the skylight. So what this is some LED strip lights. You can buy them off of eBay or Craigslist, or not Craigslist, I'm sorry, eBay or Amazon, and was able to fish the wire from there, drilled a hole once you drop down the lens from the shower, from the skylight, and was able to wire it into the fan here, the exhaust fan. And since there's a switch on the exhaust fan, I'm able to leave that little switch off and then use the switch over here by the door to turn that light on or off. And what a difference that is, because this shower is really dark at night without a light in there. Another item that you may, for those really folks that have watched these videos and very astute, may have noticed that the surround, where it matches to the wall, you may have seen in other promotional videos where they buckle or pucker, if you will, and that really annoyed me. And I could have taken it back, but when I spoke with the folks at Camping World where I purchased this, they weren't very helpful in what they might do to solve this problem. From the factory, what they do is use these push pins, and you can see one there, and some double-faced tape basically to hold it down. That did not work very well, and depending upon the temperature and the expansion and contraction rate of the plastic or the ABS was really annoying. So I tried a couple of different construction adhesives. It is very hard to find things that will really adhere to ABS, sort of certain solvents. But in the process, I ran across some marine adhesive and caulking. The one I bought was Loctite, and you get that at any of the big box home supply stores. And so far, so good. And did this probably 4 or 5 months ago. One section at a time, really just squeezed quite a large quantity, since you got to buy an entire tube anyhow, a large quantity by time. So each space between where the pins, so there's a pin, we come on down, There's another pin. So each one of those spaces in between the pins, I did one section at a time, and took a rod and measured exactly what it was going to take to span the difference across the entire width of the tub there, and just gobbed the back side of it full of this marine adhesive and caulking, and used a rod to keep that surround pushed tight against the wall, cleaned up the edges as the caulk squeezed out there, and tell you what, it has been great, no issues, like I said earlier. So that makes it look way nicer in here, not looking at this pucker and buckle and the surround. The only other couple of items I have done in here, one of the bigger items was to change out this faucet for the sink. Those low-rise faucets they used, of course, they had round knobs on it, was kind of annoying. To me, was difficult to use. I ended up buying this high-rise bar faucet. Was a very simple, easy replacement. Everything's on a 4-inch on a regular 4-inch centered type mounting system. So that was very easy to do and actually very useful. Below the sink there isn't any storage. I looked at that. There again is a lot of system stuff in there, plumbing and electrical especially, as well as the outdoor shower box and what have you. So there's almost no room realistically to be able to be had underneath this sink. So you're limited on storage space. You've got, of course, the small medicine cabinet up here, and I added a toilet paper holder, and but so far so good. As we move out, again, a few minor things for those really astute viewers. I changed out the door hardware on the pantry door. That door is, with my hand, was really hard to open. There was just a single knob there, and granted, you don't want that door just popping open, so that's great, you know, but it was hard to open. By putting that D-style handle in there, so much easier to get that door open and closed now. Moving on around a little bit more, again, I had command hooked up there to hold calendar. One of the other items that I really had enjoyed doing, and really it's hard to see here in the day, but at night, is I ended up putting this indirect lighting. It's an RGB LED strip again, and it's lays up there behind the valance on the slide, and it's one of those ones that has a little controller. You can change all the colors and everything in brightness, intensity of the light. And it was really was not a difficult install. Easy to get power from this switch when the slide is where it's at. It's easy to just go right out the back wall of the slide there. You're still inside, so there's no worries about water intrusion or integrity issues, so that was easy. The little control box is mounted up behind the valance. What you see up here is the little IR sensor. There's a remote that allows you to change all of the colors and all of that. One of the problems was the TV remote must have some similar codes that they use to run the IR commands for the strip, and that was getting really annoying. Apparently the TV remote is very powerful. The signal was bouncing off the screen of the TV. So anyhow, that's what that little piece of tape up there is for, is to keep. I'm pretty happy with the color and the intensity. If I need to do something, I just peel the tape back, take the remote, do what I got to do. Moving on around, tip area, nothing really changed here too much. A couple of things I will just point out. There is storage under all of these seats. I will say that getting to it is not very easy, and in my opinion, whatever you decide to store there will be items that you will not need to get to very often. If you want to get to the storage, you have to take most of the cushions out, at least 2 sets of the cushions out, to get to the storage lids, or the lids to the storage compartments on the seat. Just really kind of a pain. So whatever you have in there, you want to make sure it's something you're not using on a regular basis. I just have the door open there. Again, lots of storage above the dining area here in these cabinets. So a lot of storage in various positions. Going on around here, you see I've installed a small digital thermometer. There's all sorts of products on the market. This one just happened to fit where I want it to. This has a wired remote. It was easy to actually get it fished outside the coach, and without the wires being pinched, so I can get both interior, within reason, interior and exterior temperatures. The other cabinet item I did here is I installed an additional shelf, again a cabinet here above the television, and it's quite large, and everybody's going to have a different idea. For me, I store my DVDs. I didn't need all that height. I ended up deciding to put another shelf in. Again, an easy project to do, create some additional space, not using too much of it yet, but you never know. So that was easy to do, give you some idea. As we move on out, again, you can just see this is where the keeps all my electronics for the AVs and stuff, and I just kind of toss all that stuff in there. And as we move on around, okay, another item which is probably on my top 2 or 3 items that I installed which made a huge difference in the camper are these LED dimmers that you see here. These are made by Super Night, and you can get these off of Amazon or eBay. I think I paid less than 20 bucks a unit. Very, to me, well worth the money, the investment, so to speak. And because one of the things in this camper is these LED lights that you see here in the ceiling are very bright, and that's a good thing to a point. However, there was no way to really control them. All 3 of them are tied together. Either they were on or they were off. And in the process, I was looking at trying to find a way to dim these down, and ran across these dimmers that I have installed here. And they certainly make a world of difference. And so, let me go ahead and see here. We'll go ahead and this is a touch plate dimmer, and you can see here we can dim those lights down. They've got a more or less an infinite range from low to high, if you will. But just super easy to install and very convenient. And of course you can turn them off. There's a little, there we go, there's a little feedback sound to let you know when you've touched a button. So really just a really helpful item to have. And then there's the reason there's 2. The other one operates kind of hard to see out there in this light, but on the awning, the LED strip light in the awning, again, same problem there. Full on or full off, and it's pretty bright, almost like having a stadium out there. And if you want to sit out there in the evening and have just some ambient light, either you had it all the way off or you had it all the way on. So here again, you can dim it all the way down when you just want to sit out there with just a little bit of light, or if you need to do something out there, you can turn on full brightness. So again, just really a very helpful add-on to this camper. The other item, we'll back up here a little bit, for those of you who are very familiar with this product, is the fact that the door on this bedroom swings differently. From the factory, it swings from the opposite direction. So I'm not sure whether it swings left to right or right to left, but in this particular case, we're looking at it from the factory. The door hinges were here on our left, and the only problem with that is that that door is a large door, and it was in the way. And I understand why they did that. I think for egress, something happens, you're in the bedroom, you need to get out, the door swings, it immediately allowed you to reach the exterior door and egress the camper. The reality of though is every time you want to get out of that bedroom and come in here into the living area, that door, you would have to fully swing it all the way open. And to me, on a daily living cycle, if you will, and you're, just in your daily living and traffic patterns in here, for me, that was becoming really unacceptable. Again, I understand probably why they did what they did for safety. However, I don't smoke in the camper. I make sure all my safety devices are fully functional and tested, and I still have the presence of mind if something were to terrible happen. I can certainly get out through the window, the emergency window in the bedroom, or I have the presence of mind to know, okay, when I open this door, I'm going to have to kind of walk around it a little bit. So we'll get over here and we'll open it and we'll show you. So here we go. This is, you can see there that door, if it's fully open, like I said, to get by it, you'd have to have it fully swung open here. This way is the way it sits now. I don't. To me, it's a small price to pay. It's much more convenient when I get up at night, use the bathroom if you have the door closed, if whatever the case may be. Just so much easier. Again, I did change out the door hardware with the lever style doors. As far as the bedroom goes, not really anything has changed in here. I didn't do any upgrades in here, except, I take that back, the door hardware again on the wardrobe doors, just again to make it easier to get those doors open. And I did on this Lazy Susan that the TV, that's what I call it, that the TV's attached to, it spins around. I put a little decorative mirror on here just to give it a little different look, if you will. And but as far as the bedroom goes, nothing really in here has changed at all. There's storage under the bed, which is pretty easy to get to. The only thing I might do is put a rod or something to hold it up, but it's not terribly heavy, and I don't keep much in there, so not many times I need to get to it. And so that pretty much rounds out the interior upgrades and modifications to my Heartland Wilderness. And I hope that you got some information out of it. If you have any questions or comments about some of the upgrades or modifications that you saw here, just drop me a note down below, and I will try to respond to those as best that I can. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you down the road.